Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Jenna Morton.
And I'm Tosh Taylor, and here we are back at it after March break.
Fresh off a week of so much.
As we get into today's episode, please know that we do love our children.
Yes, very much.
Very much. And I'm sure you do too, but holy moly, it's nice when they go back to school, right?
So we thought we'd, put a little damper on your spirits and talk about the next time they have a big chunk of time off, because depending whether you loved your March break or you just suffered through it with them, you were probably thinking about the summer now.
Totally.
Because it will come so fast and so furious. And then you've got, probably about a good 10 weeks you need to entertain the children in your life.
So if you found that 1 week hard, you're going to need to watch today's show or listen to today's show, because Jenna and I have some really great ideas for staying local, or maybe staying local-ish.
Yes, because I think this year a lot of people, I think it's in some ways going to be kind of back to those like pandemic years where we're like, we need to keep this local for a whole host of reasons.
Yep.
And for some people, keeping it local will mean, okay, I'm going to travel within, Canada, and maybe this half of Canada that you can drive to in a day. Or maybe keeping it local means you're like, I'm on foot, we're taking the bikes out, we're keeping it hyper local. Either way, we're going to talk about some of our favorite things to do in and around the Maritimes and in and around the community that can hopefully help you start to think ahead and plan for what you might want to do this summer.
Yeah, even if it's one thing that you do this summer, you're not lucky enough to be home with the kids all week, or maybe you've got those whole 10 weeks every single day to fill. So do you want to start with the outside of the city of Moncton?
So.
Okay.
Yeah, let's look a little bit out. And so, if you, in the show links afterwards, you can come back and find, we'll link to some of the episodes we did a few years ago where we went around the province and we talked to some of the mayors and some of the tourism operators and just some of the real champions of communities about what's going on there. A few of the things will be a little dated because they reference, pandemic closures and whatever. But in general, those profiles are still my go-to when I'm starting to think about what are we going to do for the summer. And I would put my first vote out this time for people, if you're looking for that sense of adventure, sense of something really different. If you haven't gone up to Catacat, to Shippagan-Miscou, that would be my vote for you. If your budget can handle that, it's not that far of a drive. It's a couple hours, and there's lots of campgrounds, there's lots of accommodations, opportunities up there. But it really did feel like we had left Canada and gone to France in a lot of ways. It was fantastic. There was so much to do, so much to see, and just the little things like going into the bakeries was a very different experience.
Yeah. When you and I discussed this a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about that, and you're like, it's all the bread and cheese you could ever need. Why not feel like you're in France, right?
Of course. And, if you've got kids who are in French immersion, you want to kind of keep that up through the summer. Take them to places where people are going to speak French. Go up to the Acadian village there. And, I think we both are huge fans of those kind of living history, historic museums. And we have a lot of them in New Brunswick that I think people don't often think about, because maybe you hear the word museum and you're like, no, not for us. But these are outdoor walk around, step back through time. We have lots of places to do it in both languages.
Yeah, and something huge to remember about the Maritimes is we're the oldest part of Canada. So the history at these is unbelievable. And it really makes you stop and think, especially if you're like me and you're not originally from the east coast of Canada. You don't realize how important this part of Canada was to the rest of Canada back in the early days. So it's really neat to get to go, especially Fort Beauséjour is one of my favorite places to go. It's not far. It's just down the highway on the way to Nova Scotia. It tends to be a little windy.
Well, it's great in the summer when it's really hot. You want to cool down. Yeah, Fort Beauséjour is a good one. Heading down towards Alma, stopping in, Albert County Museum. I'm putting the pitch out to one of the ones that's on my list this year to get to that I still haven't, because I think like most of us, you're like, oh yeah, it's there. It's right. It's nearby. Dorchester. There's so many great little spots and great little museums. So, the Keeler House Museum is actually a series of several little museums together. I'm very excited to go and see if I can't spend some time diving into some of the old archive material they have there. We'll see that. That might be a, like, leave the kids at home because they're old enough to stay home while I go get to do that. But they do have some programming and some stuff that I think would appeal to families with kids of all ages.
Do they still give you tours of the old Dorchester Penitentiary?
Part of the oldest, original penitentiary part is part of that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's, and a lot of the collection, a lot of the manuscripts or the stuff that was there, they've been able to preserve and has been handed down to them. And then there is, the old Dorchester jail that operates as a B&B that you can go and book a tour of. That's separate from the Keeler House Museum, but it's all right there in Dorchester. There's little shops. You're not far from Sackville. Like, you can make a fabulous day trip that's not going to be that hard in terms of the distance you have to travel to get there. But you're going to really feel like you've gone somewhere different if you're not used to going there.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a spot that I checked out this past summer, that I hadn't driven over it many times, but had never actually stopped. Right before you hit the bridge to go to the island, there is that little turn off there. Cape Germain.
Fantastic.
Stunning. The beach was spectacular. There's nobody there. And you are under the bridge under the Confederation Bridge, which is a super neat idea for the kids to get to see it from that level as well. And then they've got lots of really cool history there with the lighthouse. They've got lots of information about all of the plant species that are there and the animals that live in that region. It's really beautiful. It was a really great day, and it's not far, again, and you don't have to spend the money to cross the bridge and come back if you don't want to.
No, but I do believe they also still have like a park and ride program that works out of there as well. So you could, maybe go do that, go across without taking your vehicle and come back. I'd have to check on that, but I think that's still the case. And I will say there's that little glimmer of hope out there being talked about in the news media and politician circles, that, this whole idea that we need to really support each other provincially and break down some of the barriers that we've created for, traveling or for, selling goods back and forth across. So maybe this will be the summer that you won't have to worry about bridge tolls coming back.
We shall see, but we're putting that good vibe into the universe because I love PEI.
Well, and it's fantastic for people here in the Greater Moncton area. That's a day trip. Like, it doesn't take that long to get to PEI. It's fantastically close. So if you have a vehicle, it's a very doable day trip, especially if you've got little kids and you want to go to Shining Waters or Sandspit, you want to have kind of a, outdoor adventure park feel that's different than, Magnetic Hill, because they're used to Magic Mountain. A day trip is totally doable. I know you've done it with the kids. I've done it. Drive over, spend the day at the park, come back. And if you can do all that without the extra $40, $50 of bridge toll, that's, another round of Slurpees you can buy.
It's very true. And I will say, Shining Waters, Magic Mountain, they're all the same company, so I'm not talking bad about anybody here, but Shining Waters, if you have little people, way better. It is the place to go. Magic Mountain is great all the time. And it's even better when your kids get older. But Shining Waters, for the littles, it is absolutely incredible.
I have to agree. Yeah. 100%. When the kids were super little, Shining Waters was the best.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh, okay. But I'm like, but now we have Magic Mountain, Sandspit, and other things. And so, and if you have kids who are interested in that kind of water park, adventure park, and you're looking for something that your budget can handle a little bit more, just look to Quebec. Quebec, I think people underestimate how many really cool spots they have. I haven't been to all of them yet. I know a lot of people are familiar with Valcartier and go up there, in the winter as well. There's a lot of March break family travel that happens there, but year round, there's really cool things happening there. There's a lot of kind of, indoor and outdoor mega parks. So look those up if you've got the budget to travel a little bit and have that bug. Like, you want to go do the big amusement parks, Quebec might be just what you're looking for.
Interesting. I haven't, and I've driven through Quebec a lot, but I'm on my way to Ontario, so it's like I just want to go and get through. So that might be an interesting stop when I do my drive home this summer. Something a little bit more fun. My Usually I drive back through the States just for a little bit, different, but this year they're not going to get my money. So so maybe back through Quebec and hitting up an amusement park or so is a pretty cool idea. Or Quebec City, you can never go wrong.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Cannot go wrong with Quebec City.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous and just, so much to see and do. And again, if you want that feeling like you have stepped back in time and stepped into another country,
Yes.
old Quebec.
Yeah. Yeah, it's stunningly gorgeous. So let's talk about just staying hyper local, walking tours, or maybe just driving between the tri communities here in Moncton, Riverview, and Dieppe. What is your first suggestion?
Well, of course, my first suggestion is you check out Pickle Planet.
Yeah.
Because in addition to the weekend roundups, there's the playground profiles. And fingers crossed, if everything aligns, there will be kind of a whole refresh of that happening this spring. So my plan is to have something that's a little bit more user-friendly, maybe something you'll be able to download. So you can actually kind of track your progress between the parks. So right now I think it's about 50 profiles of local playgrounds and parks, mostly playgrounds really. Looking at, what equipment is there, who's got the kiddie slides, who has the kiddie swings, who has stuff that's accessible, all of that. The goal of the playground profiles is to have that kind of profile that you can go and look at photos and see, oh, that looks like a place it's worth driving or biking to with my kids. And so over the years, I've done little bingo cards of places you can go. Expect to see a refresh a few of those. I think the goal is going to be to kind of do specific ones for those people who are looking to stay hyper local in Dieppe, in Moncton, in Riverview, in Salisbury, that kind of thing. Putting the plug out there, Salisbury's Highland Park has always been one of my favorites, gem of New Brunswick. There's a new trail system now. So if you've gone to the park before and you're the type who likes to walk, maybe you've got littles and strollers, you want to be able to walk them around for a while, you could always go and do the loop, the 1K loop around the wetland trail. Well, now there's a connector. And so you can go from one playground to another in Salisbury. So you can do Highland Park and go down and do the trail and then go all the way to Parkin, where there's a little playground as well. Or you can start there. There's a little bit of a parking area there. You can head up the playground, then go down onto this beautiful new trail that goes all the way along. I can't, off the top of my head, remember how long it is, but it's totally doable. It's very flat, very wide, very stroller friendly, and you're all along the river and then through the wetlands and then up into the playground.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That is fantastic. Well, I know when my girls were little, to be able to do that, we would spend a lot of time at St. Anselm Park, St. Anselm Rotary Park in Dieppe. That is an amazing park. It has the rubber ground for kids if they are falling, but then you've got, 1, 2, 3, 4 trail options for length if you wanted to get them out in the stroller as well, so that you get a little bit of exercise and everybody gets to burn off a little bit of ample energy. It's fantastic. And as the kids get older too, packing up the bikes and taking their bikes over there, or you can use the trail system that runs all the way through Moncton, Riverview, and Dieppe as well, depending on how big the kids are and if they can bike kilometers.
Yeah, then you can make a real whole day trip of it and do that. And one of the things I love to do is if we're going to do one of those kind of, very hyper local, go to a different playground, go to a different park, think about, okay, what does my budget allow in terms of a treat?
Of course.
I'm always about the treats and the food. And look and see okay, and the playground profiles on the website mention, which ice cream places are nearby or different things like that. And
Pretty smart.
Well, and that would be my next thing too is, if you have the budget to go out, once a week for an ice cream treat with the family, which is, not a cheap thing, depending on how many people are in your family. But if you have the means to set up yourself to do that and, you have a vehicle or you have the opportunity to travel a little bit, have an ice cream tour. Can you hit a different spot every week? Hit 2 a week. Have fun with it. Make your own little journal, take some photos and compare who had the best flavor options, who was the best bang for your buck. You can make it a whole little learning thing with your kids. If they're, kind of early elementary age and you want to keep their brains thinking about math and different things like that in a fun way, talk about how much did this ice cream cost us versus how much this one cost us, which was, the better deal, or, give them their own $5 bill. What treat are you going to get with that? And let them figure out some of that. And just kind of planning that out just a little bit in advance takes that pressure off when you're heading out, I think, as a parent of like, oh, okay, I know that we're going to do this. I know that I've brought cash, because most of the ice cream places now usually do have, you know, a tap option, but not all of them. So again, that'd be a good, like, for the summer, figure out, you know, what dollar bills you can have in your pocket, but really include the kids in those kind of things too. You know, whether it's a walk, you know, do your own little walking tour through downtown. How many of the Festival Inspire murals and the other public artwork can you go and take photos of this summer? And, you know, can you have a little, you know, donut treat at Halo? Or, you know, factor in these different things, but make kind of a plan out of it, and have, you know, your own little bucket list for the summer of things that you want to do.
Yeah, I like that idea too. And if you are out bike touring, a really good place to stop is in Riverview. I'll give that a plug, but if the kids are on the ice cream tour, but mom and dad might be on a different kind of tour, then you can use the back patio of the Holy Whale Beer Garden, because King's Ice Cream is right there. So, you know, a couple of people could get ice cream, and a couple of people could get a nice cold beverage to cool them off while they're out for a bike ride. I think that that's a really good idea. And you'd see a lot of parents doing that in the summer.
Perfect.
They've got the bike racks for you. If you time it right with the tidal bore, you might be able to get, you know, a natural wonder of the world viewed as well. Like, there are some mega things you can do right here.
Exactly. It's fantastic. You know, when the kids were really little, and not super, super little, so like have started school a little, but, you know, still very young, one of the things I loved doing was going to Trite's house on the waterfront in Moncton, and they had the maps, right? It's a visitor information center, and you can get a lovely little map of downtown, and then have them be the explorers and lead the way of, okay, if we want to go see, you know, that monument, which direction do we have to go? If we want to, and it's fantastic. That trail system we have is so fantastic to be able to go all the way over to Riverview, go into Dieppe. You can go to all these places safely on a trail system and avoid the roadways altogether, which when you've got kids is fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. And that trail system will even take you all the way up into the north end of Moncton. So it's a fantastic trail system. They've done great work with it. And it's nice and wide, and it's good for the bikes, and it's good for the strollers, for the pets too, if you wanted to bring them. Something that you could also do too with Jenna's parks is find out which parks have splash pads.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's another one that's always a big, and always like, when's the water coming on? How soon are they going to turn it on?
One of your biggest questions. Yeah.
I have no control over it. But yes, usually it's not until June. Some things, well, we'll see what happens. But as soon as we know it's on, certainly everyone shares that. But I think, you know, again, having that idea of, you know, make a list of outdoor pools. We actually have a lot of great outdoor pools in the local area. You know, Salisbury has a pool, Riverview has a pool, Moncton has a pool. There are a lot of options. Moncton has multiple outdoor pools.
Yeah.
That, you know, are a really fun way to get out. And yes, it costs money, but it's not a huge amount of money. And so again, if it's something that you can't do all the time, then figure out, okay, how many times through the summer might we be able to do this, and have it kind of, I guess that would be a big tip I would give people is don't try to overschedule or be too specific, like, oh, I have this one day off and that's the day we're going to go to the pool. Well, what if it's a terrible weather day? If you can have it in your mind, oh, I've got the money set aside for us to do a pool day, and I'm hoping it's going to be this particular week. Or, you know, or just have it tucked away. You know, in the winter when the kids were little, I used to do a snow day bin. And so, you know, I'd have one bin that, you know, sometime in November, I'd fill up with, you know, indoor fun games, you know, a movie we hadn't watched, that kind of thing. Put it in a little shoebox size bin and tuck it away. And the first snow day, you pull it out. Do the same for yourself for the summer. Have a rainy day bin and have, you know, a hot day bin. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. This doesn't have to be a huge thing, but it could be just, you know, those couple things that you've tucked away so that you're not stuck the morning of trying to come up with a plan.
Yeah. Yeah, or you fall to the desperation of baking with your children because there's nothing else to do. That's never a great idea. It gets better as they get older, I promise. There is,
I don't know.
yeah.
We had quite the baking experience in our house lately. So,
Yeah. Oh, well, your oldest is getting into the baking. One of the things that I love about pools, definitely the Riverview Glen Abbey pool, is that they have set swim times. So if you have a child that you can tell 8 million times to leave a place and they still don't want to leave, the lifeguards will do it for you.
it's always very helpful when you have that outside authority figure, even if it's a teenage lifeguard telling your children, no, this is over. You need to leave. The other thing that I would say to keep in mind that, always creeps up on me, whether it's March break or it's the summer, is you have to feed the kids all the time. I'm not a kitchen person. I am not a cook. We know this.
Same.
But especially if you're looking to kind of keep that budget low this summer so that you have more money to pay for, extra swim sessions or outings, to museums and that type of thing. Really getting on board with the, making sandwiches at home, bringing snacks with you, really keeping that as controlled as you can so that you're not getting caught off guard having to buy lunch and buy snacks for your kids when you're out and about.
Yeah.
I think that is one area where all of us could probably save more money than we do right now by paying more attention to what we're doing with that. And, it's so nice when you're out and about that you want to be able to, at least for me, I love being able to go and get a treat somewhere and go and do something. So if you can really kind of plan the meal aspect of it so that you're doing picnics or you're like, oh no, I put something in the slow cooker before we left home. We have to go home to have supper and not, think about it. That to me is a huge tip for getting through the summer, whether you're working or home with the kids, whatever age they are, really thinking about the meal planning aspect of it helps, I think, for me anyway, it lowers the anxiety, keeps them fed, and can be a good money saver.
Yeah, I love it. So I guess that should somewhat get you ready for summer. If this is your first summer with your children, nothing can get you ready for summer. But if you wanted more help about things to do in the Greater Moncton area, Jenna is going to tell you exactly where to go.
Yeah, you're going to go to pickleplanetmoncton.com. You can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Blue Sky, trying them all. And you probably find me there. And yeah, just really the planning, I think, is what can really help without over planning it. You don't have to over plan, just have a little bit of a plan will help you out, and all the tips and tricks are there. So thank you everyone for watching and listening, and we will be back next week with a brand new episode. And until then, take care.
See you next time.